Today's guest is Tom Dougherty. Tom has been a business coach for over a decade, working with over 500 business owners across dozens of different industries. He has seen the patterns in what makes a business grow, what makes an owner stall out, and what separates the people who hit their goals from the people who never quite get there. In our conversation, we talk about self-mastery, time ownership, and the system that moves a business forward in a predictable way. Tom walks through the habits he sees in successful founders, the traps that can hold people back, and the frameworks he uses to help business owners build a business that can grow without them burning out. The conversation ends with Tom opening up about the deeply personal reason why he's so committed to helping business owners. So make sure to stick around for that. And now, here's my conversation with Tom Dougherty. Tom, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure, Ian.
So Tom, you've been a business coach for over a decade. You have coached hundreds of business owners across so many different industries. What I'm really curious about is finding the patterns of people that have been successful in business. Like I've always been a big biography geek, just kind of studying the great founders, but you've had hands-on experience in working and coaching with so many different business owners. So I'm curious, when you think about the clients who have actually hit their goals, transformed their business, achieved what some may call success, what are the patterns or habits that they share?
Number one, the successful business owners, they never give up. They're very stick to it. They might fail, but we can all learn through failing. If you think of Thomas Edison, who failed hundreds and hundreds of times trying to invent the light bulb, it's the same with a business owner. You just got to never give up and keep trying and learning from those mistakes. They're only really failures if you don't learn. But the real habit, the big thing I see is doing the hard work when they don't want to do the hard work, right? So getting the things done, they know how to do it. If they don't know how to do it, they're not afraid to ask. So they reach out and they get some help from a coach or consultant or a friend or somebody. Get some help, read a book, whatever it might be. They're always put aside the ego. So forget your ego, do the hard work, get some help, and stick to it. Those are kind of the big habits. The next big habit I see is, besides the hard work, is mastering their time. So this is where a lot of people get stuck, Ian, is they say time is your most valuable asset. That's one of the things that you really can't get back. You can get more money, but you can't get back your time, right? So as a business owner, you don't have a boss. So nobody's holding you accountable to getting things done, or stop doing the little things you shouldn't be doing and doing the more important things. Having someone that can really manage their time. I call it self-mastery. You got to manage yourself, what you do in that time, right? Because you can't really manage time, you can manage what you do in that time. So taking ownership of their time. And so I have some tricks that I like to use for those things to help them really maximize their time when they are at work. Because so many of us go through like an 8 or 10, 12-hour day of work. And then at the end of the day, we're like, oh, what did I really get accomplished? So if we could leave with some accomplishments every single day, we're moving the ball forward, if you will. But if we're not, we're just wasting time, and you wish you had that back. So yeah.
I'd love to dig into some of those kind of techniques or tactics that you have to help the people that you're working with managing their time more effectively and kind of setting themselves up for the day or whatever that may look like, because I can absolutely resonate with that. Everybody talks about with entrepreneurship, a big advantage of it is, so much freedom, right? So much kind of freedom to do what you want when you want. But, it takes a long time to get to that place with any business. But on the flip side of that too is with entrepreneurship, when you're in business for yourself, there's nobody telling you what you need to do, right? So it's completely up to you to figure out what is the most important thing that I need to work on today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year, right? In order to move myself forward in the direction that I want to go. And that's really hard. Like when you're in a W-2 kind of job, right? Somebody's going to tell you exactly what you need to focus on, what your role and responsibilities are. But when you're in business for yourself, it's completely up to you to figure that out. So would love to hear some, like, what are the tactics or techniques that you have to help fix that and build and develop self-mastery?
Well, first you have to take inventory of all the things you're doing now. So I call it time audit. So all the things that you as a business owners, as you know, are wearing so many different hats. They're doing all these different roles in their business. They're doing too many. And if you were to build the org chart, their picture would be all over the place, on that org chart. So we need to figure out what those things are first. So doing a time audit or time tracker for the course of about 2 weeks, figuring
Okay.
out where you're spending your time. And that could be in I just get a simple Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, and every 15 minutes, what am I doing with
Yeah.
clients? What are they doing? Am I making outbound sales calls? Am I putting out fires? Am I doing marketing? Am I doing sales? What exactly? Administrative stuff, bookkeeping, like the business owner should not be doing the bookkeeping, right?
Yeah.
So that's usually the first thing we get rid of. So finding out where they're spending their time and then giving these things a value. So, what does a business owner value their time at? They might value their time at $100 an hour or $500 an hour. Some CEOs, $1,000 an hour. So what do they value their time at? And then why are they doing a $20 an hour job? So what it means is literally, if I can pay a bookkeeper $20 an hour to do my books, why would I be doing my books when I'd be better off spending time with clients or doing sales or spending time with my family or hobbies that I love to do, right? So I can just go and hire that thing out because I mean, instead of me doing bookkeeping for an hour, I'm better serving my company and therefore my family by going out and maybe making a sale or improving my systems or upgrading and training my team. So doing the things that are important. Like if you had a boss, as I always ask my business owners, if you had a boss and they caught you and they were paying you $100,000 a year and they caught you doing a $15 to $20 an hour job, well, how would they feel?
Yeah, they'd be, probably a little frustrated. It's like, why are you spending your time doing that, right? We want you working on the higher leverage things that we're paying you to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you might like to do those things and you might obviously know how to do them, but what are those things you're doing? So make a list of all the things you're currently doing, then ask yourself the question, what are the things that really move the needle in my business that I should be working on? And the other
Mm-hmm.
things that I should be outsourcing, delegating, just quit doing altogether, or
Yeah.
automating, right? How can we have
Yeah.
AI do it for us now, right, Ian? You're the expert in this area.
Right.
And so you should just outsource a lot of things. Now, what can AI do for us? So I would add a fifth thing to that. Instead of there's doing, there's delegating, there's deferring, means putting it together and putting it later. And then there's just deleting it. But now we got to add in there, what can we automate or use AI? Same thing. So what can we use AI for? Because that's really the future and it's here now. So don't think of it as the future. Like we're already using it. And my best clients are already using it to their advantage to free up some of their time. And when I say free up some of their time, it's to really free up their time. Maybe they're working way too much. And to get 10 hours of time back in a week when they're working 60 hours a week is a huge gain for them.
For sure.
Or if they're working 40, 50 hours a week and it frees up 10 hours a week, and now they're able to use that in a more productive way, like being with their best clients and best customers, improving their systems, working on the business type stuff rather than in the business. So normally the high value things are when you're working on the business, improving the business, and the underlying things are that you shouldn't be doing are probably working in the business. So if you're a plumber, you see yourself as a plumber and you're probably doing some plumbing. So maybe that's a $40, $50 an hour role. But as the CEO, as the business owner of a plumbing company, you have to see yourself as the entrepreneur that owns a plumbing company. Now you value your time at $200, $300 an hour. So why are you underneath this with a wrench in your hand? Right. So why are you trying to come up with graphic designs for your website and your logo? No, just hire people or use automation for that, right? So AI. Yeah.
Love it.
Probably slap you on the back of the hand,
Yeah.
Caught you.
For
or
sure.
fire you.
Yeah, 100%. They'd be like, okay, obviously you don't know how to spend your time on the things that you should be spending your time on based on what we're paying you. So be a difficult conversation, but this process of self-mastery and self-mastery is pretty broad. Like this process of using your time to work on the things that you should be working on as a CEO or founder of your business starts with an awareness of where you're currently spending your time. So you do that through the time audit that you described. Do you have a template for that spreadsheet or anything like that I could just link in the show notes that people can provide?
We can put down the show notes, and they can definitely download that. Simple, easy to use, simple to figure out. It's got some directions on there. Once they have that figured out, the next step in self mastery, if you will, is coming up with what is your ideal week look like? Dan Martell might call it the perfect week. Here we call it the default diary. That name comes a diary. In
Nice.
America it means it's like your journal, like, dear diary, I met this great person today, blah, blah, blah. Well, diary actually, it is a term for calendar in the UK and in Australia. So default diary means, what does your ideal week look like for you? If you were to map out ideally during, say, business hours, and you could put after hour stuff on there too for your personal life, but let's just start with your business hours. What does the ideal week look for you? How many prospect meetings are you having? How many team meetings you're having? First, you put in the big rocks. So first you put in, if you've heard of the rocks, pebbles, sand scenario, where you've tried to fill up the jar full of rocks and then pebbles and then sand, it'll fit. But then if you try to put it in the other way and you put the little stuff in the jar first and then the pebbles, you'll never get the big rocks in the jar. Well, what are the rocks? So the rocks are the big things, the important things that move the needle in your business or are important to your life, right? Like having family dinners and family events, or date night with your wife or your spouse, and some team meetings, some sales calls. All these things are like the big rocks. And then what are the small rocks? Maybe it's the pebbles, those are the administrative stuff. Sand could be the bookkeeping and the filing and all these other things. Many business owners are putting the little things in first there, and then the big things never get done. They go throughout the day and go, man, I did 20 different things on my to-do list, but none of them really move the needle on my goals in my business. Right. I don't feel any closer to my goals today than I did yesterday. And that's deflating, right? So focus on the big rocks first. So there's rocks, sand story. You can look it up on YouTube. There's a great video on that about it that a college professor shares with some students. Yeah. And so you got to put those in first. So when you're planning out your week, put those most important things in first. So build the week out first. Now, I realize once you build this thing out, it's going to give you a map. It's going to give you a map of like what you should be doing right now in this moment, right? So people always ask me, hey, Tom, how do you have a great year? So, well, I can't control the whole year, but what I can control is like, okay, to have a great year, it's kind of like football, right? Like we can't control the whole outcome of the game. Yes, we want to win the game, but let's take a look at it by the quarter, right? So we look at it by the quarter, and then we're going to like, how do we have great quarters? We have great months. How do we have great months? We have great weeks. How do we have great weeks? They're made up of days, and then days by the hour. So like we can't control the day, let alone the week or the month or the quarter of the year, but we can control what we are doing right now. So there's only right now. It's a great book called The Power of Now. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow. It's just about what you can do right now. It's the only thing that matters. And so it really breaks it down. Everybody can control like what's going on right now. They can't control the whole year. So if you think of it that way, and then the default diary, the perfect week model will give you what you should be doing right now. Now, of course, it's not perfect because life is not easy. It's not always simple. So
it's not predictable too.
Yeah, it's unpredictable. You might have to put out a fire. I understand that, but you need to systemize so you don't have to do that. But say you have some time to work on some systems, and that's really important for you, and that's in your default diary, and you're working on that. But that big prospect that you've been wanting to get on the phone calls up and wants to set an appointment. Well, I would say as your coach, go ahead and drop what you're doing and take the call. That is the bigger rock than this rock. So always bump one rock for the bigger rock. The bigger rock always wins, right? So the bigger rock always wins. So that's how you pivot. But this will give you, what you should be doing every hour. And the default diary is not just for business owners.
Yeah.
Everybody on your team should be having their own default diary, right? Nice. Yeah. So everybody on your team should have their own default diary. So,
and everyone on your team should probably go through that, time audit process too. At some, if you do have a team. And I think the way that the default diary and this time audit kind of work together, and how you create actual change, is maybe you spend the 2 weeks, go through that time audit, and then at the end of that 2-week period, then you put together, like, okay, you have a detailed reflection or log of what you spent the last 2 weeks working on. And then you can use that as inspiration to help you build out, okay, this is what my last 2 weeks looked like. This is what I would love like my week to look like. You build out that default diary, and then you can contrast what that default diary, you can contrast that default diary and that time log of the last 2 weeks, and then look at, okay, what is on this time log, this time audit that I need to get off of my plate.
Right.
So then you can have a clear list of things that you need to either um, go through those four. You was delegate, defer, right? Automate, that kind of stuff. So then you can have a clear list of things that you need to get off of your plate in order to get to that default diary, that perfect week. And you could have everybody on your team go through that process, which would be great because then that could lead to some insights.
Yeah.
Okay, who
Yeah, the owner
for
should
each
go
person
through
on
it
the team.
first, set the
Yeah,
example, how to do it, and then everybody on his team should be doing it. Everybody in the building should be doing it. And then you as the owner, you need to teach it to your staff what your default diary is. Some of my clients will actually print out their default diary and put it on their office door so that their team knows, hey, this is when I'm open to take questions, or you can come in. This is an example. Most business owners kind of have an open door policy where their staff is coming up to their office or their desk or coming up to them all day long. Hey, Tom, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And they just keep stopping you all day long from your flow. You know, you can talk about the
yeah,
flow. You're on a roll and then you get interrupted, and they keep doing that throughout the day. Well, what happens is if you like say, for instance, hey, I got to open office hours for questions like these from 2 to 3 in the afternoon, and one of your staff members has a question at 10 in the morning, more times than not, the staff member will figure it out
yeah.
before waiting till 2 o'clock. They'll ask somebody else. They'll do some research. They'll quit coming to you and asking you the same question over and over and over again
Mm-hmm.
because they're impatient and they'll figure it out themselves. So that's what you want. You want a team that can figure it out and start documenting those things, because we've all had it where your team just keeps coming to you all day long. You can't get anything done until it's after hours and your team has left at 5 or 6 o'clock. Now you're still working on the stuff that you wanted to work on. You've
Yeah.
just been the answer man all day long.
I think one thing that I want to kind of underline is from my own anecdotal experience are those rocks. The rocks, pebbles, sand sounds a lot like what I learned is the Eisenhower matrix of like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 tasks. And those rocks are those tier 2 tasks that are important but not urgent, right? It's like there's no clear deadline for this task, but it would be something that would move the business forward. It's an important thing to get done. And that could be like working on systems within your business. Could be something related to hiring. But anyways, it's those big tasks that are going to move you forward and make you better at what you do. And those things need to be on the calendar. Like you need to you need to block off the time for those things, and you need to create like your own arbitrary urgency behind those tasks and your own timeline, because there is no outside urgency. There's no outside deadline for that. Like you don't need to deliver this thing for a client by a specific date. But you start with getting those on the calendar, and then maybe in your default diary you have a set chunks of your week that are dedicated to those tier 2 or those rock work, and then every week that'll change what the specific thing you're working on is. But yeah, I love that. Just starting every week by getting that stuff on the calendar and starting with that first is great. And how do you know what your rock work is? You look at, okay, what are my goals for this quarter? How do you know what your goals are for the quarter? You look at your goals for the year, right? And then you look at where you are now and you set those goals. So I think that narrative that you walked us through is, the power of now. You can't control what happens throughout the year. You can't control what happens in the quarter, the month, but how do you have a great year? You have great quarters. How do you have great quarter? You have great months. How do you have great months? You have great weeks. How do you have great weeks? You have great days. I think that whole back and forth balance, I think, is awesome. But it's like, how do I know what I am working on now? It starts with your goals, right? And I know that that's the process, and that's where you start with your clients. When you're onboarding a new coaching client, you start by helping them achieve destination mastery. So I would love it if you could explain. Setting goals is something that I've struggled with. It's just such a open-ended process. I feel like I'm like setting and revisiting and then changing my goals like every month or something. So I just don't know if I've ever really quite nailed it. So if you could take us through that process that you take your clients when they're just getting started with you, that destination mastery process, I think that would be awesome.
Right. So when we first start setting goals, we got to figure out, the why. Why are you doing this? And so like if you started a business, we all get all gung ho about the new business, but we don't think about how are we going to finish it. What does the business look like when it's finished? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to franchise it? Open multiple locations, pass it on to another generation, collect passive income for life, or die at your desk. Hopefully it's not dying
Yeah.
at your, right?
Right.
So what is the long-term plan? Well, you might not know right now, and that's okay. So what we do is, like, no matter which route you go, you want to act as if and put in place the things as if you're going to sell it for buku bucks. Okay. So the strategies to sell your business for the most amount of money in the future will work for all of those same things: franchising it, passing it down to generations, collecting passive income. If you take that journey, it's gonna yield much more for you. You're gonna systemize things. You're gonna build a business that can run without you. You're gonna maximize cash flow. You're gonna grow the value of that capital asset. You probably, your most valuable asset you ever own is not your house if you're a business owner, but your business if you build it right. And most people, their home, but like, you want to build the capital value of your business so that when you go to sell it, you can cash out for millions and millions of dollars. Whether it's $1 million, or we just sold an HVAC company last year for $55 million, right?
Awesome.
So 2 partners split it. And so, yes, there's some that goes to Uncle Sam. And, yes, with some right planning, they walked out with a lot of money. No, they never have to work again. Right. So
Nice.
that sounds like a good plan, right? So no matter what kind of business, and plan for as if you're going to sell it, and then make the choices later whether you want to or not. It's the same road, right? So that's what I would say is, first off, what's the exit strategy? So even if you don't know, start putting those things in place.
And that's kind of the default. Like, your default exit strategy should just be like, build a business that's sellable for the most amount of money. Because if you build a business like that, you have so many options. That kind of rhymes with something that Alex Hormozy shared. I went out to a workshop with him, and he was like, once you get your business to the place where it's actually a sellable asset, most people actually just don't want to sell it because they're like, oh, this is kind of nice. He used the analogy of, like, when people are getting ready to sell their home, they get it all nice. They make all the renovations. They make all the additions, right? They clean things up. They make the home look really good. And then they're like, man, I don't know if I really want to sell this place anymore, right? It's kind of the similar idea. Right. So I think that's a really nice insight there, is your default, whether this is your goal or not, your default aspiration for your business should be to build it in a way where it could be sellable for the most amount of money possible. Whether that's, maybe not, your ambition isn't money motivated, but that goal, and if you get your business to that place, will enable so much flexibility to whatever your exit strategy ends up being. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, that's right. Now, there's some reasons why you're absolutely right. Some people get to there and then they're super excited because the business is running without them. Their business is bringing them a ton of free cash flow. They're making lots of profits, and so they don't really have to work. But there might be a way where, in life or in health or in family needs or something like that, where they do want to cash out and don't want to think about it anymore. And they're able to make a big impact with their community besides just the cash flow that's coming in. So, that's always fun conversation to have. So, you want to have the choice. So freedom, the definition of freedom, that's what we're all about, is creating freedom. So you work through our Action Coach business operating system, the ABOS, we call it. And at the top of that system is freedom. So in order to have freedom in this country, you need to have freedom of time, freedom of money. And in order to have that, you're going to need to have a team in place, most likely. So you got to have a team. And the team's going to need systems to run, right? So we need the team runs the system, so that now you got freedom of time and money, and you got to have faith. You got to have the right faith in this world. And luckily in this country, that's pretty much all you need. Other countries, you might need some other things, but that ultimately creates the freedom day. And a lot of people are saving up for retirement. What is that? Well, when you have enough money coming in without tapping into the principal, the assets are paying enough cash flow coming in. Profits from the assets will pay you more than your cost of living, like how much it costs you to live, your lifestyle at that time. Then you can retire, whatever that is, whatever that means to you, right? So Freedom Day. So we want to know what that looks like. Long-term planning, working backwards. What does that look like? And then we look at like 5-year plan. So then we go to 5 years. Okay. So 10 years might be too far out. 5 years. We take a look at 5 years. What does your ideal business look like in 5 years? Because you can build a business that can run without you in 3 to 7 years. So let's take a look at 5. So how do we build it as if, and let's put a deadline on it. Let's put a date Like, let's have that freedom day be in 5 years and put a date on it. That'll make us move faster. Because if we don't put a date on things, like a SMART goal, it's got to be timely. The T is timely, time frame. You got to put a date on it. 5 years out, what does it look like? What's the revenue? What are the goals around that revenue? What's the profit that me or my partners are bringing in at that level? How many team members are we going to need? How many trucks? How many locations, depending on what kind of business you're in?
Yeah.
Right? What's the marketing systems look like? All these different things, building out the org chart, what does that look like as far as goals wise? What are the things we want to have in 5 years? Right. So then we work backwards. Okay. First off, the formula for success is where we need to start. So be times do equals have. So who do we need to be in order to do the things in order to have the things? So we start, our goals are the haves, and we know a lot of the do's we need to do. But who do we need to be? So like, for instance, if you have an HVAC company that's doing $1 million a year and you're managing 3, 4, 5 people, and you want to have a $10 million company, who you need to become is different than who you are today. So you need to work on your being. I would think first and foremost, your leadership skills, your communication skills, right? Your organizational skills, your time management, self-mastery skills, right? Yeah. So all those things, you got to be really good around the numbers, because you don't just go hire a bunch of people and not know that you can afford them, right? You want to max value for your company. Don't just get big to have more people, get more big to be more profitable, so that you're bringing in more money and the value of your business goes up. So who do we need to be in order to do those things? So we map those out for 5 years. Okay, between now and then, what does 3 years look like? And what does 1 year look like? So 1, 3, and 5 years. And then from when you get the 1 year, okay, we don't need 10 trucks in 1 year. We need 3. Okay, well, we work backwards and all those different things. So we just kind of break them down into the 1 year goal, put some time deadlines to them. And then, okay, what's it look like for, just like we talked about the football game, what are we going to do this quarter to make that 1 year goal come true? So what are the things to work on? So you've been to our growth club, so 90-day planning meeting. So it's the best of day you can spend working on your business as a growth club. So in that one day, we're going to put together your plan for the next 90 days. So like we talked about, in 90 days, you got months and weeks. So in 90 days, you have 13 weeks. So your chart is broken down into 13 weeks. This is our operating system. We break down exactly what you should be doing every single week. Now, we talked about the big rocks on your weekly plan. So in your monthly plan, you go to that week and look at those tasks you need to do. Those become your big rocks that you need to pop in weekly plans. I call those frogs. Like Brian Tracy wrote a great book called Eat That Frog. And frog is that hairy, slimy, ugly thing that you don't want to do. You definitely don't want to eat it. But if you did want to eat it, you'd want to eat it first thing in the morning, so you don't have to dwell on it and stress about it all day long. So you eat that frog first thing in the morning. So then your day will be okay the rest of the day. So now some things, those aren't terrible. They're just the projects you need to work on. It's not necessarily a slimy frog, but it's the one that would move the needle in your business if you only got that thing done. It's coming off your 90-day plan and going on to your weekly default diary. So when you're putting together your default diary, put time aside in the mornings to work on your frog. Those are the things from your 90-day plan. You're going to move the needle in your business.
Love it.
So that's how we break it down from 10 years, your exit strategy to 5, 3, 2, 1, the quarter, and then the quarter to the week, the weeks to the day. And you just got to follow that system. Your coach is going to ask you, hey, what'd you get done on your frogs this week? They're going to make sure you have your frog sheet mapped out for the next day ahead of time. That's the next thing. Mapping out not just the week, but mapping out what does it look like the day before. So before you leave the office, you got your frog sheet. Like, here's one right here. So this is my frog sheet for the day. Most important things. I filled this out yesterday before I left my office. And I laid it on top of my keyboard so that I focused on this first.
Nice.
Right. So, if I don't have this on my keyboard, this is what most people do. They get to their desk and first thing they do is turn on their computer and check their email inbox. And as we know, the email inbox is somebody else's to-do list for you, right? So when people hear that, they're like, whoa, that's powerful. Let me say that again. Your email inbox is somebody else's to-do list for you. So you're jumping right to it right away and helping other people's dreams and goals come true and their to-do list, but you're not moving the needle in your business, your frogs, your important
Yeah.
things, your rocks, right? So you got to work on yours.
Nice. I love it. And I think tactically, I mean, as soon as we jump off this conversation, I'm going to rename the calendar block that I have for every morning. Right now it's deep work, but I'm going to rename it to like swallowing the frog time, like just eating the frog time. Or like every
Yep.
morning, first thing, 2 hour chunk of time, eating the frog right there, first thing in the morning. I love that.
Yeah,
And
it's called Eat That Frog is the name of the book by Brian Tracy. You could read it. Or I have taken notes on every single chapter. And so if somebody texts me or emails me the word frog, I'll gladly send them my recap of every single chapter each day for 22 days. And so they only have to read this much. And then there's a few action items at the bottom. They can put that in. And there were guys, I did that about 10 years ago. And so people in Phoenix know me as the Eat the Frog guy sometimes. I'm like, well, I didn't write the frog, but I did create the emails. So there was a gym, Ian, that opened over here near my house called Eat That Frog, or Eat the Frog Gym. And their franchise is based out of Scottsdale. And so this was their first location here in Ahwatukee in Phoenix. And everybody was asking me if I opened a gym. So I did not open a gym,
Nice.
but if you get a chance to go to Eat the Frog Gym, it sounds like a good place to go. But there's probably busier in the morning than in the evening. So
yeah, 100%. I love it. Hell yeah. Cool. So just to kind of like recap, we got the destination mastery, like when you start with clients and how you get all the way to the point where you know exactly what you need to work on tomorrow. Like what is your frog tomorrow? That comes again from the place of having clarity on what your long-term vision of what you're building is. You could call it your exit strategy, but what is that long-term vision of like why? Like what's your why? Why are you doing this? Once you have that clarified, you can start to build out the picture of what 5 years, what you want your business to look like and what you want your life to look like 5 years from now. Once you have that, then you can start to just reverse engineer from there. Reverse 5 into 3, 3 into 1, 1 into the quarter into the month into the day. I love that process. And it took me a long time to learn that. And like, that's the only way that you can know with conviction what you need to be working on today. And you know that by doing this today, you're moving yourself closer to that long-term vision. Yeah. And that's really like the thing that I struggled all the time with and in the past is just never knowing, is this the right thing that I should be working on? And that answers that question if you go through that process. And we actually built a tool together, the Destination Mastery GPT, that definitely does not come close to emulating the process of working with you through that process of clarifying everything. But we'll leave the link to that in the description, where if you want to have like a guided experience working with an AI tool that can help you kind of help clarify that exit strategy, long-term vision, mission, goals and stuff. And then that can be the foundation of the reverse engineering process and working with that Growth Club GPT. You could actually use that as well. But another thing that you said that I want to underline is the formula that you gave there is the be times do equals have. And kind of the person that you are that got you to where you are today is not going to be the person that gets you to those goals that you have for yourself 5 years from now, where you have to continue to improve and adapt. And another thing that I heard recently that has stuck with me is entrepreneurship is self-improvement or self-development wrapped in capitalism. And I thought that was great. It's just like you as the leader, as the founder, is somebody that just has to continue improving, right, and getting better. And, whether that's developing skills as leadership skills, hiring skills, sales skills, marketing skills, kind of whatever your zones of genius are, just continue to improve and refine, and add on top of that. And then also just surrounding yourself with other people that can help fill the gaps that you may have. Is great. Cool. You talked about impact there at the end. I think the impact that you have on your clients is profound, right? I went to Growth Club. I met dozens of the business owners that you work with, and it's incredible. How many businesses do you think that you've coached up until this point now? I know I said hundreds earlier. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I think it's a little over 500 by now.
500. Incredible. And so you're an action coach. You have the Action Coach franchise here in Arizona, one of the most successful action coach. If for anybody that doesn't know, Action Coach is a global business coaching program or global organization of business coaches, and you have one of the most successful franchises. So one of the best in the world, top business coaches in the world. You're extremely talented at what you do, But how do you think about when you bring a coach on, right? How do you teach them to, I don't know, are you teaching them to do it the way that you do it? Are you giving them room to operate on, like in their own kind of style? Like, how do you, I don't want to say duplicate yourself, but how are you approaching scaling your franchise? I guess might be the
That's a
right way
great
to.
question. Actually, somebody else just asked me the same question earlier this week. So here at Action Coach Arizona, we have a total of 5 coaches right now, and we're looking to bring on some more coaches. And no, I don't want to duplicate myself. No, we have the Action Coach system, which is a great system to use to scale your business. It's been around 32 years. It's in 84 countries, used by 1,100 coaches. So it
Wow.
works. The dashboard is deep. The training is intense, and it absolutely works. But different people have different personality styles and can bring different things to the table. So all of our coaches, sometimes they have a niche. Like we have Coach Patrick, who coaches attorneys. He has the number one law firm for real estate law in Arizona, and now he just coaches attorneys. I have another former client that owns a CPA firm, and he's become an action coach as well. So he can coach all types of business owners. Um, Coach Kevin McCamey, he's a leadership and management consultant that we hired from another coaching firm. And he's
Nice.
excellent at working with business owners on management and communication and executive leadership. And Coach Kevin Harper, he comes from the trades. He actually owns an HVAC company that he built up to do over $1.5 million in his first year. Super successful. So he's coaching trades, and he's working in our group program called Toolbox Millionaire as well. So that's our group program for trades and home services. So I'm not looking for somebody just like me. I'm looking for people that can bring a lot more skill set than just me. Like we all have our different ways of doing it, but we follow the same system, but we want absolutely the best. So if you're a competitive person that loves to win, that loves to make an impact and help other people, that'd be the number one thing I'm looking for in business, is that they love to make an impact and can help other people. Number 2, it's very helpful if they've owned their own business before or have been a teacher. We haven't hired a
Mm-hmm.
teacher before, but teachers I know from across the world make great coaches as well, because they're good at learning it and then turning around and helping others. And they ask great questions. So coaching is all about getting the things out of the client, what they need to work on. And realize if I might have the answer for you, but if I just tell you the answer, you might not take it to heart and go and do it. But if I can get it out of you, then you tell me what you think you need to do after I ask you the right questions, then you're more likely to do it. Right. So
Mm.
sometimes I have to catch myself and not just give them the answer right away, but I have to get it out of them. Sometimes I see them making
Yeah.
a mistake or it's going down the wrong road, and I have to just quickly stop them and be like, hey, look, let's just do it this way, and then show them that way. And at Action
Yeah.
Coach, we have 3,500 business solutions. So we have the tools. In that case, we are a coach, but we're also a consultant, because like, here's the tools, this is how we do it. Boom, boom. And we're a teacher, and we teach them how to do it too. So we're also coaches, trainers. We have training systems for sales, marketing, management, and leadership and team engagement now. So we have some training programs. That's a great place to get started.
Mm.
And so implementers, we're all implementers of the ABOS system. So
Yeah.
we can implement the system into your business, and you get coaching along with it for free. So that's what sets us apart. We are the biggest in the world, but we're the best because we've been doing it so long, and we have the IP and the training. You can't go get certified on a weekend, taking a test or anything like that. It's months and months of training. So
Yep.
we're looking for coaches that can want to make an impact in their community. When you help a business owner out with coaching, you're creating abundance in that person's family today, but you're also creating abundance in the people that they go and that work for that person. And when you
Mm-hmm.
give, when your business is growing and scaling, you're going to be hiring. And so when you give a person a job that needs a job, you're creating abundance in that person's life today. So that's why my corporate name is Abundance Business Coaching. So we want to create abundance in thousands of business owners here in Arizona. Now I say throughout the Southwest, because we have clients in, as you know, in multiple states. So
Yeah.
yeah. So if you want to help create abundance and become an action coach.
Love it. Love it. I'd be curious to learn about, because something I talk to a lot of coaches, and I've also consumed a ton of coaching programs. I read a ton of books. One thing that I struggle with whenever I'm in a coaching program or I'm reading a book, like I'll get a book, read it, highlight, fold the pages, take notes, all those things. When I in a coaching program, I'll watch all the videos, show up all the group calls, engage in the conversation. When it comes time to actually do the work that is assigned to me, either an exercise that the book tells me to do, an exercise that the coaching program tells me to do, I get the guidance from the coach. It's like, okay, now you need to go do this. I would historically stall out, and that led me to build what I'm building today. Like I just started building these companion GPTs, these companion AI tools for myself, to help me do the work that's in the books, to help me do the work that was in the coaching programs. But I'm curious to, obviously Action Coach has been around for a long time, right? And with any info product, whether that's a book, coaching program, people only get value when they do the work, right? When they take action. So how do you get your clients to take action, right? And do the work, do the things that you're telling them to do, or doing the things that you've helped them realize that they need to do? Is there any insight that you can share on that front?
Yes, absolutely. So that's the difference. A coach is different than a mentor or a teacher. And a teacher is like giving you the information, like you said, the courses. You can watch a YouTube course. You can read a book. You can read a book called
Yep.
Shelf Help. Yeah, I've read all the books. Great. Did you put anything into action? Right. So that's why we're called Action Coach. We're going to make you do it. Like we're going to motivate you to do it. Like how do we do that? So holding you accountable, right? So there's really like three types of accountability. There's self-accountability, which is pretty fleeting. Like people just don't get it done on their own. Two, there's group accountability. You're held accountable to a group of peers. In this case, like in group coaching with other business owners, or coach accountability, where the coach is really going to pressure you to do it. Just like if you hired like if I hired a personal trainer today, which I should, I can. Why do I need to hire a personal trainer? Ian, I can walk into any gym. I know how to use every single piece of equipment in a gym. I've gone to the gym enough times over the course of my life to know how to use the equipment. Why do I need a trainer? I need a trainer to get me there on time, make sure I'm showing up every day, putting in the hard work, getting the extra reps done. Because if I just go and I do my 8 reps on the bench press and I don't really push it any harder, I'm not going to get any gains. So coaching is going to help you get the gains and get the gains faster. They're going to keep you on the safe track and keep you from making mistakes. So we hold people accountable. So I have one coach who's a former military guy. His job before he became a full certified coach, his job was just to keep people accountable. Badass military guy, looks tough, tattoos, beard, tough truck, muscles. You're gonna make sure you get it done. Now,
Kev.
me, I don't have to do it that way. I do it a little bit differently. So I'll use more of the pleasure and pain method. So I don't know. So there's 2 ways to motivate people. People are motivated by gain. They're going to get something new. They're going to get a reward for doing something. Or there's the pain. People are more motivated by the fear of loss of something or the pain than they are by the achieving of something, a reward. So let me give you an example. I had a client that loves golf, right? And so he had something that was important to him that he wanted to get done in his business. And so we tied some pleasure and pain to it. So I don't remember what the pleasure was, but I remember what the pain was. So the pain was he had to leave me his golf clubs, for the weekend until he got the thing done. Now this guy goes golfing like 4 days a week. So for him not to go golfing, I actually held the golf clubs in my garage. So he got it done. Right. So he got it done quickly. So that was one way, perturbation, pressure you put on somebody through this pain. He got it done. Another time he came back to me and goes, "Oh man, I love that. I love this concept." And so another time it was Coach Patrick when I was coaching him at the law firm. One time he wanted his big goals was to write a book. And for most people, books take forever to write. This was before AI helping you write books. There was no AI helping him write a book.
Yeah.
And but I do know that the number one thing that Patrick, number one thing is he never wants to let his boys down. So he's got 2 small boys, and the boys wanted to go, and his wife, they wanted to go whale watching, right? So they wanted to go whale watching. So he cut out a picture of this family whale watching off the coast of San Diego, and he posted it on his refrigerator. And he told his boys that when dad's done with his book, he's going to take the family whale watching. So that's both a pleasure and a pain. Yes, he wanted to go whale watching too and make his kids really happy. But the pain was that he wouldn't be able to do it if he didn't get it done. Right. So he didn't want to let his boys down. So he didn't feel guilty spending time away from his boys to work on the book, because the boys each day, they're like, Dad, when are you working on your book? How far are we done? When's the book going to get done? Like, we want to go
Yeah.
whale watching. So to this day, I'll let you know, they've gone whale watching, and the book was published a long time ago. So
Nice.
that was another way. So he loved this kind of extra pain and pleasure given to goals to get things done.
Yeah.
Same.
And I think a big
client.
part of that too, is like telling other people and having other people kind of hold you accountable, right? Tell people what your goals are and the thing that you're working on that needs to get done, and get creative with other ways that people can hold you accountable. And I think a coach can really help with that to begin with.
Right. Now, the pain, for the most part, has to kind of be uncovered from the client. It's got to be important to you and not what the coach thinks, right? Like, I remember I was in this group coaching program one time, and this my master coach was putting some perturbation, some pressure on us, and came up with some pains. And mine was, I was going to have to sell off my mountain bike that I race on, and I didn't want to, right? If I didn't get something done. So that was, and it has to be in line with the goal. So it was big goal, big pain, and big reward. And somebody else in my group said, "Oh, I'm going to give up chocolate for a month if I don't this, that, or the other." And I thought to myself, well, that's a really wimpy goal.
Yeah.
That's a really wimpy pain. But that's my framework putting on to her. And this gal absolutely loves chocolate. So for her, that's a big deal. Maybe to you and me, that would be no big deal at all. It wouldn't change our lives.
Yeah.
So it's got to come from them. What's important to them.
Nice. And then somebody's there to hold you accountable to it. So whatever is important to you, whatever pain would be really substantial to you, and then somebody else there to hold you accountable to it. Because just trying to do it on your own, your mind, your brain will come up with all kinds of justifications to get you around it, allow you to kind of squirm out of it for sure. Love it. Next question here, just about to wrap up. Again, thank you so much for your time here today. But this one, so we've collaborated on tools, a bunch of these different AI tools, these custom GPTs, these custom AI agents built to help your clients through doing specific types of tasks that align with your coaching program. Like we talked about the Growth Club GPT, the Destination Mastery GPT, the 5 Ways GPT, some different things that we'll all have linked in the description for anybody that wants to test them out. So we've collaborated on a bunch of these tools, but how do you see AI fitting into coaching as a way to kind of enhance the experience, right? Because I don't believe that AI is ever going to be able to replace the relationship that one person has with a coach, right? These kind of creative accountability strategies that you've shared, like AI is not going to be able to do. AI is not going to be able to like hold your golf clubs for the weekend, right? That's never going to happen. And also just like the in-person nature, the relationship, all that stuff. So how do you see AI fitting into coaching as a way to enhance the experience of coaching?
Yeah, we've been using AI now since the beginning, I would say, in my coaching. So it helps us get to some goals quicker for clients. Now with the custom GPTs that you've built, it's even quicker. So that's been awesome. So we were able to move faster. But the key part is to know like what to put into the GPT. What do we do there? But is it going to replace coaching? The answer is no. Like the GPT doesn't understand the feelings or the background or really asking the right questions. It can ask the superficial questions, but it's really got to get out of you what you really need right then and there. And so that will probably never go away unless we have really true artificial intelligence where maybe they hook something up to your brain, or I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
But, the relationship is super important when it comes to the coaching and thinking outside the box. So I'm looking at hundreds of businesses and what works in all different kinds of industries or different industries. That you hire a consultant, they just kind of stay in their lane and only know what works in that one industry. But there's other things they can bring to that. And some examples of how we've used AI to help speed things up. Whereas, like if I asked you to write a job description to run an ad to hire somebody, that in the past has taken some people a long time to come up with it, and they think it's never the best one. But we create a framework and then we throw it into the GPT or ask ChatGPT, and then it pumps that thing out like right away. And it might give us now it might not be perfect. It might be like 80, 90, 95% of the way done. But what I noticed is like when a teacher gives us, like a blank piece of paper and says, "Hey, write an essay," and it's blank, you're like, "Oh, I'm stuck. It's really hard to get going." But if I could look at an example of another essay and go and tweak it and make it my own and make it better and more like me, then we're more likely to get it done. And
Yeah.
so done is better than perfect thing that never gets done. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's been a huge help in just simple things like that, documenting systems,
Yep.
improving. Oh man, I can't even tell you how many different things we're using it for. Bouncing
Yeah.
ideas for brainstorming, even within a coaching session. Like I have clients who are trying to come up with a name for an event. So we asked ChatGPT, we gave it all the right prompting, hopefully, and all the parameters what we were looking for, and give us 30 names. And it came up with 30 phrases for a name for this event. And we like some part of the name, the first half of this name, the last half of this name. And we hated this one word. And so, okay, do we do it? We like this word, we don't like this word, and give us another 30. And then boom, we were done
Yep.
within, like 15 minutes, of just brainstorming with it like that.
Uh-huh.
Whereas somebody might take that home and dwell on it literally
Yeah.
for weeks. So we can check it off, move forward, and what's the next thing. So super helpful.
For
I
sure.
also like coaching summaries. Like we record the calls, and some of the clients show up with their own AI summary on the Zoom calls, and they're not having to write everything down. It's
Yep.
that's got to get them a summary, and they know that. And I try to speak out loud so it knows, hey, this is your action items for the week. And it's like
Yep.
bing, 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 bing.
Exactly.
I just like that every time, and it's got their homework, their home fun, and so we're
Yep.
very
Home
clear
fun.
on it, so and I get a
Yep.
copy and they get a copy. So that saved us both a lot of time and effort. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. 100%. I totally agree. It's just a tool that you can use as a coach to help you be a better coach, or a tool that you can equip your clients with to help them do the work that you're assigning to them that, isn't
Mhm.
going to completely 100% do the work for them, but it'll get them to that 90% mark. That'll make it just so much easier. It's easier to go from 90%, start at 90% and then finish than
Yeah.
going from 0 to 100 all on your own. And yeah, I 100% agree. Like that's my highest conviction use case for AI, and hence the reason that this is what I'm focused on and doing now is every info product, whether that's a book, coaching program, course, whatever it may be, that assigns work to their consumers to do will have AI companions built to help guide those consumers through doing the work that's assigned to them, thus making it more likely that they do the work, get the transformation, get the value, stay on as a client for longer, have testimonial referrals, all that good stuff. So love it. And we've spent some time working on a few of those things. And yeah, it's been awesome to see how you've used it and to see your clients engage with it. Um, Last question that I have for you here. You've told me this story before, and I think this story really speaks to your character, who you are as a person, and just like peels back a lot of layers of the onion to kind of get that demonstrates your why and why you're doing this. So I would love for you to tell it here for the audience listening. But you told me the story about Toolbox Millionaire. You kind of referenced it earlier. Why you started it was born out of a very personal experience. So could you tell us about that story and what it taught you about the cost of doing business the wrong way?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Ian. I've been coaching all types of businesses, and I really like coaching trades a lot, but I coach all kinds. And so my brother Sean had a construction company. He had a concrete demolition and concrete cutting company years ago, and he was really good at what he did. He was really good at his skill. People just loved him. Guys that worked for him loved him. His customers loved him. And but he was working really, really long hours, crazy long hours, middle of the night, had 3 small kids at the time. And it ultimately, his business failed, because of cash flow, not doing the business things right, not growing the business right, just focusing on the revenue and not the profit, and didn't have a system and just was failing. This was long before I was a coach. So did this happen? And well, actually not that long, probably like about 4 years before I was a coach. And my brother, his health started failing. He got diabetes, got really heavy, um, depressed, and I didn't know it, but a few years later, they lost their house. Then I found out they lost their house, so he had to move. And then he got divorced. He didn't tell me he got divorced, but they were still living together. They got divorced. And so it just kind of really, really ruined him. And he finally went and got another job. And a year and a half ago, he had some health issues because of all the things that led to the business failing and the depression and the health, and it all went downhill. Losing his house, his health, and his family. He had 4 strokes back to back in 6 weeks, and it killed him. And so that's why that's why we started Toolbox Millionaire, to make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else. So, and at the same time, you don't have to be struggling at all. He was really good at what he does. He worked really hard, and people loved him, like a lot of the guys I work with now. So making sure they get to their first million in revenue, then their first million in profit, and then ultimately can build a business that can run without them, so they never have to go through that stuff. So I wish I was there doing this 14 years ago, but I wasn't.
Man, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your time today, Tom. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Tom Dougherty. Here are my 3 main takeaways from the conversation. Number 1, success comes from consistency, not intensity. The best business owners aren't perfect, they just refuse to quit. They do the hard work on the days that they don't feel like it, and they're willing to ask for help instead of letting ego get in the way. Number 2, time mastery is self-mastery. This is one of Tom's core ideas, and it's very simple. You can't scale your business if you don't understand where your time is going. The time audit and the default diary, the 2 exercises that Tom shared in our conversation, give you the clarity that you need in order to focus on the work that actually moves your business forward. Number 3, long-term vision creates short-term conviction. When you know your 5-year vision, it becomes easier to know what matters and what you need to be working on today, which is something that I know many business owners struggle with. Just from my own anecdotal experience, I know that I struggle with that. It's like, what should I be working on? But when you have that long-term vision, you can see how the work you're doing today ties together with that long-term vision that you have. If you want to connect with Tom or explore coaching, his team at Action Coach Arizona is always accepting conversations with business owners. And you can actually schedule 10 minutes with Tom for free and learn more about his coaching services at his website, which I'll link in the description. If you're an info product creator, an author, a course creator, or a coach with a system or program that you'd love to share, I'd love to have you on the show. There's an application link in the description. Just tell me a little bit about the transformation that you create and the system behind it. And if it's a fit, we'd love to bring you on for a conversation. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.